Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And today I'm going to be reacting to a video of Kent Hovind giving sex advice. Um, I don't, I guess let's just start this. I don't know what to really say.
Good morning, folks. Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama, October 31st. This is All Saints Day. Well, maybe tomorrow for all the saints. How many are saint been forgiven? Got your sin
Kent Hovind, known saintly person. Right.
forgiven? Only two. Okay. And this is also Halloween. For those that like worshiping demons and spooks and all that stuff. October 31st, Proverbs chapter 5, very controversial chapter. You might want to turn it off right now. This is Solomon's advice about sex and women. I would say, coming from a guy who probably should know, with 700 wives and 300 porcupines, he probably.
Is that your new record, Kent? To get to number 700?
Concubines. Okay, we're at Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. We believe the Bible is true. God made everything in 6 days. Dinosaurs lived with man the whole time. Nothing died till Adam sinned. Don't let them lie to your kids and say dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. Proverbs chapter 5, Solomon's advice about sex and women. He said, my son, he's writing, who knows how many kids he had? A bunch, okay, 700 wives. He said, my son, he wrote this whole book as if he's writing to advice for his sons. Attend to my wisdom and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, that thy lips may keep knowledge. Be careful what you say, boy. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb. Talking about a loose woman, a prostitute. And her mouth is smoother than oil. They know how to talk you into stuff, boy. Stay away from them, okay? Bible talks a lot about Gilead's wife bare him sons, and his sons grew up. And he told them, be careful about he said, you're the son of a strange woman. His son came from a prostitute, apparently. A lot in the Bible about strange women.
Okay. Prostitutes are not the only type of sex workers. Okay. I'm gonna read something just from the Sex Worker Initiative Urban Justice Center website. It says, what is sex work? Sex work exists on a spectrum of choice, circumstance, and coercion. There are many reasons why somebody may be working in the sex trades, and these reasons may change over time. Someone may initially choose to do sex work and later face coercion, or conversely, someone may be coerced to do sex work and then later choose to do it under different conditions. Some people choose it because they find it fulfilling and may do it within legalized or criminalized sectors of the sex trade. They may do sex work full-time or in addition to other employment. And how do we differentiate sex work between human trafficking? People who experience human trafficking have been forced into the sex trade. So I just wanted to establish that before we go any further with this.
There's plenty of them out there. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery. 9 verses talk about the strange woman. You can Google that some other time. He said, her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Son, you find some prostitute, you're going to have fun for 5 minutes and then have pain the rest of your life. Bitter as the end is what's bitter. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Wormwood, what is that? Wormwood, a moderately poisonous species of some kind of plant. Do we have any wormwood around here?
We have the wormwood, which is used as a tea against a.
Hey, thank you, Scott Duke, for the $5 super chat. It says, yay, Atheist Junior really does have super chat. Yes, I do. And from Jason Metcalf for $4.99. I thought he was going to jail. Any update? Keep bashing this guy. Yeah, I've seen a lot of confusion about, understandably so, about is Kent in jail? Like, Simon Dan made a video where he said that Kent Hovind was in jail, and that's why Matt Powell was making videos. Like, that really annoyed me, because no, Kent unfortunately is not in jail. Kent was supposed to report on the 18th of last month, but he tried to get a retrial done. The judge rejected it, so he's now appealing the verdict as if he's not guilty, which he obviously is. So that, I guess, has tied up the legal system, and for some reason he didn't report, and just like nothing happens. I don't think that that's right, but it is what it is. So the next part of the trial is going to be the docket for his appeal, and it's going to be on the 13th of this month.
Common virus we all talk about.
Really? You do that on the tour when you give the barn tour?
No, I don't have it.
Okay, but you're raising wormwood
And Artemisia.
and Artemisia.
It's in the planter over by the dining hall.
Okay, remind me not to eat that if you would. Let's see. You can buy it, wormwood as a vitamin. They take it, what? What? I don't know. Google it, okay. Anyway, wormwood's mentioned in the Bible. Her end is bitter as wormwood. I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood and give them water of gall to drink. I will feed them with wormwood. You can read all about that. The star in Revelation talks about the name of the star is called wormwood. Interesting. That's a whole study on its own, but that's not where we're talking today, okay? The waters became as wormwood. Many men died of the waters because they
What does this have to do with anything?
were made bitter. So whatever happens in Revelation 8, and we're gone by then, we're gone in Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, when the sun and the moon go dark. But we're here for the first 5 seals. 3.
Okay, I have another $5 super chat from Dave Dalafiore. It says, Bill Sardi gives me a chubby.
4 seals, whatever it is. Anyway, Revelation 6. We'll get my book and video series on that. All right. So many men died because of the wormwood. Back to Proverbs. Lest thou shouldst ponder the paths of life. He said, son, in case you decide you're going to think this through, you're not going to be able to ponder this woman. Her waves are movable, that thou canst not know them.
Her waves? Okay.
You will never understand them.
Are her waves 900 miles an hour, Kent?
Don't even try, son. You're wasting your time. You can't understand them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her. Son, the only thing you can do with these kind of women is get away. That's all you can do. Just get away. Don't even try to figure them out. Just get away. Come not nigh the door of her house. Lest, that means unless you want to give your honor to others and your years to the cruel. Son, you will wreck your life if you live that way. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger, and thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed.
Thy Flesh Consumed was the name of a pack of levels for the game Doom.
How many people have gone to a prostitute or somebody other than their wife and gotten a sexually transmitted disease? There are 20 different STDs, sexually transmitted diseases now, caused by virus, bacteria, protozoa. Some of them, chlamydia. There's all kinds of sexually transmitted diseases.
Okay, so I had to censor some of the images in this video because Kent Hovind decided to put a bunch of pictures of people with skin lesions and a picture of a diseased dick. I'm not even kidding. So I figured you guys don't need to see that.
That do all kinds of horrible things to your body, even fatal. And it's simple to prevent. Get one wife and be happy.
That's not going to prevent you from getting pubic lice if your partner catches them from a dirty toilet seat. Also, it's possible for a mother to pass an STI to her child. There are people who don't show any symptoms, and they can transmit it to their very first partner because they didn't even know. Sometimes both people find out about an STI after the test. It's rare, but it technically can happen. Also, people can just straight up lie about being a virgin. I'm not saying this is common, but again, it's possible. And the actual way to prevent getting an STI is to practice safe sex, using condoms or dental dams for oral sex, and if not, then at least be on birth control to prevent the worst STI of all, which is pregnancy. Getting yourself tested and making smart choices, and by both trying to find a partner who is honest and somebody that you can be honest with about your past partners. And Kent won't like this one, but vaccines also are a great way to prevent STIs. And yes, abstinence is technically the best way, but it's not enough.
Just don't touch another woman. Syphilis, all these, gonorrhea, all these diseases, AIDS, okay? Let's see. Gonorrhea, hepatitis B, hepatitis C.
Dental dams are used by lesbian couples often. Maybe not often, but...
HIV, AIDS, herpes, syphilis. There's all kinds of diseases. Now, God designed sex to be for reproduction and for fun and for bonding with my husband and wife, but it can be dangerous. Diseases can be spread. 6th consecutive year of record-breaking STD cases. What's going on? People are losing their morals. 26.
People are losing their morals, that's why? I wonder what the rate of infection is now compared to biblical times when people had several wives, or even hundreds, and the condom hadn't even been invented yet, but apparently it's getting worse.
Million new sexually transmitted infections in 2018. Almost half of the STIs were among the age 15 to 24. In 2018, 1 in 5 people in the U.S. has a sexually transmitted infection. 1 out of 5. Yeah.
1 out of 5 people in America have died from COVID-19. Do you think COVID is dangerous, Kent?
Okay. Nearly 68 million infections. So, what can they lead to death? Syphilis, HIV, hepatitis B and C are serious diseases that can result in long-term health and even death. Yep, they can kill you. Most dangerous one is HIV, which leads to AIDS. Syphilis will do that to your tongue. STD briefs for teens and young adults. Has anyone ever died from gonorrhea? Because while gonorrhea doesn't have a death toll that untreated HIV does, annual deaths from gonorrhea are 2,300. That's still a lot of people to die from a totally unnecessary disease.
An unnecessary disease? Are you saying that some diseases are necessary?
Necessary? Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? Probably not. No, but I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
And it causes incalculable suffering. 78 million adults contracted the disease in 2012. Let's see. New CDC report. Sexually transmitted diseases continue to rise in the U.S. The number of new cases, 115,000 in 2018. These diseases cause all kinds of problems. Skin lesions, internal problems, and even death. The highest and lowest STD rates. Wow. Alabama's one of the highest. Something not to be proud of.
Go figure, one of the states in the Bible Belt has the highest STD rate, along with all the other Bible Belt states. Again, the failure of abstinence-only sex education, which is promoted by religion.
He said, don't go to strange women, son, lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last when thy flesh and thy body are consumed. You'll regret it one day, son. You're tempted now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And you're going to say, how have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof? In other words, I was hard-headed, I wouldn't listen to people when they told me. How many of you have ever not listened to good advice because you were hard-headed and did something stupid, ended up costing you a bunch of money? Ever done that? Put your hands up, both of you. Okay. And have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me.
Kent, you're the most hard-headed person ever. You don't listen to anybody. Like, you don't listen to a judge who tells you you need to turn yourself into jail.
He said, I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Solomon says to his boys, drink water out of your own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Son, be happy with the wife you got. Just one can make you happy. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad.
You hypocrite, Kent. How can you even say that? I mean, the jokes write themselves. I don't even need to say anything.
And rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. Keep in mind, Solomon writing to his boys, let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Wait a minute. The wife? Singular? Solomon. You're telling your son to only have one wife? And you got 700 with the wife of thy youth. I'm a strong believer you ought to get married young. I tell people, if you're going to go fishing to feed your family, don't go put a hook in the water.
Okay, we have another $5 super chat from Dave Gallifrey. It says, this is a Josh Duggar moment. Yeah, so Kent Hovind is good friends with Josh Duggar's dad, Jim Bob Duggar. Jim Bob Duggar picked Kent up from jail when he got out. And the FBI said that the images that they found on Josh Duggar's computer were some of the worst things they had seen in their entire careers. And Kent has defended Josh and his dad even recently. Yikes.
Go put 30 hooks in the water. Catch something, okay? If one doesn't catch a fish, the other one might. Some people have one job and their whole livelihood is dependent on that one job. Dumb.
What are the hooks in this scenario? Are you talking about finding somebody to marry or getting multiple jobs? Because the way that you phrased that made it sound like you're talking about putting a lot of hooks out, if you know what I mean.
You ought to have at least 2 or 3 jobs. When you get home from your 8-hour job, you could mow grass, you could wash windows, you could find, if you can't see anything to do, you're dumb. Some people can walk into a room and can't see anything needs done. You need to develop that trait where you walk anywhere and you see everything that needs to be done. Walk into our shop, how many things you see need done. Dave, what all needs done in there? Everything, okay. Should we find you a wife too? Okay. We got, how many single guys we got here? It's miserable around here, all the guys complaining all the time. But anyway, I'm a big believer. My dad taught us early, son, have several incomes. There's 2. I talked to Luke today. He walks to work to his job. I said, Luke, you ought to have several incomes. There's active and passive income. Active income, you go to work, you get paid. You go to work, you get paid. If you don't go to work, you don't get paid.
What does this have to do with STDs?
Passive income. You work really hard one time and get paid the rest of your life.
That's not how passive income works.
Passive income. I worked really hard, probably several thousand hours to produce this video series. And now I'll get paid the rest of my life when we sell it. That's passive income. Writing a book, rental property. You work really hard, you build a house or pay off a house, and you now have passive income. You ought to have several sources of income. If one dries up, oh well.
Oh, just get some slaves and then you'll have passive income, okay?
Okay? So you should be able, by the time you're 20 or 22, to be financially secure and have your own wife.
Are you kidding me? Maybe when you were that old, Kent, but that is totally unrealistic for the year 2021. Like, are you serious? That's ridiculous. Most people are not even out of college at that age. What are you talking about, Kent? You're so full of shit. Go to jail, Kent.
Guys, get a job. Shut off the DVD player, shut off the video games, and learn a skill that'll pay some money. People spend thousands of hours learning how to skateboard. For what?
You can get fucking paid to be a professional skateboarder, Kent. Are you stupid? God damn it.
Just yesterday, Matthew had just said, in one day, we went, I think it was you, we went and did logging, we did flooring, we did, what else did you say?
Yes, you can also get paid to be a professional, to do esports gaming or to stream on Twitch. Like, there are plenty of channels on this very website, Kent Hovind, where people stream themselves playing games and get paid, or make videos about video games and get millions of views on YouTube. But you're such an out-of-touch boo-boo, you don't know that. He literally thinks that video games started and ended in, like, 1976 with Pac-Man.
I don't remember.
We did like 3 major different trades.
Yeah.
All in one day.
Right here.
Yeah, right here. I mean, this is a great opportunity for.
Well,
for
they will learn
guys to
learn some skills here, and if you want to leave, fine. If you want to stay, fine. But we want everybody to be as
Oh, if you want to leave, you could just leave. It doesn't matter if you don't have a car or you don't have anywhere to go and you spent all your money to get here. Hovind!
skilled as possible and as many things as possible. So if you're sitting around watching TV or playing video games or playing music all day and you're not learning a new skill, you don't get it. You
Or watching Hovind YouTube videos?
just plain don't get it. You're missing all of life's the important lesson. Solomon wrote this book to his sons, trying to wake them up. Boys, wake up. Get married young, and be happy with that one for the rest of your life.
The whole idea of getting married, not having sex until you're married, and getting married young has caused tons of people to rush into marriage because they're horny and want to have sex, and then they don't even know the person that they're marrying. It's really, really not a good thing, and so many divorces happen for this reason.
He said, verse 19, let her be as the loving hind, that was like a deer, and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times. You only need one wife. And be thou ravished always with her love. You can be madly in love with one woman and be happy. Doesn't take 10 or 20.
Or 4.
I was in prison with a lot of guys that were always bragging about all the women they had, and I'd always ask them, is there any difference? They said, well, not much.
Of course there's a difference. What are you talking about?
Why can't you be happy with one?
Man, go to jail.
Never thought of that. You know, I taught anatomy. As far as I know, they've all got the same basic equipment, don't they? Yeah? Okay, well. Be happy.
Weird.
What's the problem?
You're weird, Kent. You're weird.
Here. Be thou ravished with her love. Singular, singular, singular. Every time. With
singular, singular. Singular means 4, right?
Her love and her love. Singular. Okay. King Solomon, First Kings tells us, loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh. Women of the Moabites, the Amorites, the Hittites, the Electric Lights, all them Ite brothers. He married them all. He said down, they.
Okay, we have another $5 super chat from Jason Metcalf. It says, how many guys like Kent Hovind end up being charged with child porn? Well, it's hard to say because there's obviously a huge controversy in the Catholic Church with priests inappropriately touching or molesting young boys. Kent isn't a Catholic, but he's obviously had people on his property who have convictions of inappropriate contact with children. So, kind of, I don't know. It makes you wonder.
Will turn your heart away from gods, after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. The Lord had told the children of Israel, don't marry these heathen. They'll turn your heart away. Solomon had 700 wives. And
that's my new goal, 700.
300 concubines. And his wives turned away his heart. This is the guy who wrote to his kids, let have thee wife of thy youth, just one, Solomon. Let her be as a loving hind, her breast satisfy thee at all times. Be thou ravished with her love. You only need one. You know, it's interesting if you study this. Being an anatomy teacher, I love studying. I'm interested in everything. That's probably my problem. I get a little out there on some things, you know. There is no other mammal that I can find that shows the least bit of interest in the mammary glands of the female. You think the bull is interested in the cow? You think the bull standing around talking about, look at that cow over there, wow. No. There's no male of any species that shows any interest at all, okay? How about the gorillas? You atheists say we're related to apes and, you know, gorillas, etc. They show no interest at all, none, in the mammary glands of the female. The goats don't show any interest in it. Hamsters, they got a whole bunch of them. Daddy hamster, he's not interested at all. Doesn't even look at them. He don't care. I used to raise hamsters and sell them to pet store. That was one of my, as a 10-year-old kid, that was my business. My dad started me in the business. We built cages, built the cages ourselves. I raised hamsters, and pet stores wanted the white ones. So I raised albinos.
Yeah, shut the fuck up, Kent. Okay, so when I talk about animals right now, I'm just saying it to differentiate wild animals and humans. I know that humans are animals. So most mammals don't have breast tissue like humans do, just nipples. And like you said, Kent, most of them have teats along the bottom of their abdomen instead of having prominent chests like humans, so they aren't easily visible to the males. Humans enjoy touching and groping breasts, but we also have opposable thumbs, and we keep our fingernails closely trimmed, so we're actually able to do it, and an animal that has claws would scratch the boobs, so that's not enjoyable. And wild animals, they also have fur that would obstruct the breast tissue. Human females are almost entirely hairless. And another difference is animals don't really exhibit foreplay like humans do. Animals act on instinct. They, when they're in the wild and they see that a potential mate is ovulating or is in heat, they want to get the job done, and that's it, because they know that you have many males sometimes competing for a mate, and you don't want to miss your chance. Um, and with animals, a sign that they're fertile or lactating is that their mammary glands swell up. Humans are the only mammals on Earth who have like swollen or large breasts throughout their entire lifespan after puberty, and other animals don't have this. Although pregnant women do experience this after they have a baby and they start lactating. I don't want to talk forever on this point, but Kent's view is also very Western centric. There are tribes in Africa and Asia and Central America where women walk around topless and it's seen as normal. The men in those tribes aren't excited all the time. Christian missionaries were shocked when they found indigenous women who didn't cover up. So you'd think Kent would be aware of this, because this is where his national pornographic joke comes from. If you remember, like, the famous articles and pictures, I think in the 90s, about those tribeswomen from Africa who had, like, the saggy boobs. But to sum up, the reason is because animals have different things that they see as attractive to them. For example, like the giant red butts on baboons, I think are obviously an analog to what he's talking about. The mane of a pack-leading lion, the beautiful feather plumage of a male peacock, and one of the biggest things is smell, or pheromones. Us humans have puny, smushed-in noses, but we can only smell things that are about 57 parts per million. Dogs can smell something in the range of 10,000 parts per million. So that's another reason. Animals just have different things that they attach themselves to when it comes to finding something attractive. So I don't really know what your point is.
I had 300 albino hamsters, and I would sell them with cages to the pet store and made a good profit. They then turned around and resold it. That was my business when I'm 10 years old. Never too young to start your kids on. Of course, then I had to remember to feed them and water them. Could learn the responsibility. But the male hamster's not interested in the female's breasts, and she's got 8 of them. You don't care. Elephants have theirs up in the front. Atheists, evolutionists, explain that.
Okay, I'd be glad to. So the reason that the elephant has mammary glands in the front is because the vaginal opening for an elephant is located between its hind legs rather than farther up by its tail. And so there's no room for the animal's breasts or teats to be back there. Elephants are really tall. They have really long legs. So if they were giving birth and the baby dropped out from behind, it would fall and probably injure itself. So having the baby drop out from between the mom's legs is a lot safer. And another reason is, from an evolutionary perspective, it's possible that elephant mothers who had their calves survive birth would have been selected for. And having the elephant calf nursing up front makes it easier for the mother to keep her eye on the baby and less risk of a predator sneaking up from behind. Instead, the calf would be right next to the mom, right next to her big powerful tusks and her big stomping feet, so she could easily defend her baby from a predator. And baby elephants are notoriously aloof and like exploring, so better for mama to keep them close, and I'm going to show examples of this right now. And one last thing, elephants do everything using their trunk. It's like the way humans use our hands. So the mama elephant would be able to touch her nursing calf, groom them and clean them and caress them, which would help with bonding.
Nearly all other mammals have them in the back, don't they? The goats, the cows. Huh. Why do the adult male elephants show no interest at all? Huh.
Okay, so here we have a mom elephant who's going to stop the baby from stepping into this open water hole. And here we have a baby elephant who's just being obviously silly. Look how cute he is. And then here we have a baby elephant falling over. So they clearly need to be watched by their moms or parents constantly. And here we have one falling over again. That's a good one. Mom, save me.
5,416 species of mammals. People say Noah couldn't put all the animals on the ark. He didn't have to bring the fish. He didn't have to bring the insects. They could be on there, but they were on floating log mats and stuff. Probably only had about 8,000 pairs of animals on that ark. And if you bring babies, you could easily get them all on there. But that's another story. Only one species has mammary glands that are enlarged outside of the period of lactation. In other words, when they're not breastfeeding their baby, they stay large. How did that come about?
Okay, so it's not known for sure, but perhaps the most popular idea was first proposed by Charles Darwin, and it was later explored by zoologist Desmond Morris in his 1967 book, The Naked Ape. In it, Morris suggests that breasts evolved as a sex symbol to replace the swelling rear end of other female primates during ovulation. So once our ancestors started walking upright, the sexual organs were no longer so obvious to see. So males had no obvious way of knowing when a female was sexually mature, and breasts might have formed as a result. So when you're going from walking on all fours to bipedal locomotion, this would hide the vulva, and it's going to be the sign of sexual maturity. So instead, human females evolved prominent breast tissue, and a modern human female who is healthy and not malnourished is going to have a lot of fat cells in her body. So that's going to be a sign to another potential mate that this person is fertile. Another evolutionary example that people like to bring up is wide hips, because that shows that, well, okay, this person can obviously not die in childbirth. But it's not known what the exact reason is.
Guys, Solomon gave advice to his sons. Let's see. Cattle have 4 spigots to feed the babies. Sheep, deer, goats, 2. I think it should be for the goats. Well, okay, 2, yeah. Blue whale has 2. Opossum, 13. Dog, anywhere from 8 to 10. Pigs, 6 to 32. They can feed a bunch of babies at the same time. Mama, might as well lay down. This is going to be a while. Okay, kids, come on up. Man seems to be the only mammal on the planet that's interested in or turned on by the female's udders. Over the centuries, hundreds of items of clothing have been developed to take advantage of this great, unexplainable interest. You can take it from there.
Cat, you're weird, bro. You're weird. Udders? Do human females have udders?
Okay. Hundreds of strange ways animals and even plants get turned on to reproduce. You should study that. I'm going to do a whole video series just on this someday. What turns the male on? There's all kinds of crazy things. I don't see any way for you atheists to explain this little phenomenon I'm about to share with you. We could do a 5,000-hour series on this. The Bowerbird. He builds a fancy nest, puts fancy flowers and pieces of glass out there, and the female walks by and says, "Whoa, wow, I'm yours, honey." Bunch of pieces of broken glass and flower lace. Come on.
Okay, so these birds, they build nests that are called bowers, and scientists have studied this mating ritual, and they seem to think that these birds collect brightly colored flowers or man-made objects like the broken glass you were showing to both catch the eye of a female, and they organize them in a way that also creates an optical illusion when it's viewed from the air. So they arrange these things to make themselves look bigger and to make the bower or the nest look smaller. So I'm going to put a link to an article about this in the description because it's really interesting and I don't really have time to go into it.
That's it. Barnacles. You should see the way they make babies. Most barnacles are hermaphrodites that act as either male or female. What do you want to be today? They must be from San Francisco. Oh, I'm sorry.
Wow, Kent. I'm glad that people find your bigoted jokes funny, but you know what has happened in the recent history of religious ministers who constantly talk about how much they hate gay people. They turn out to be gay themselves. Like, I don't know if Kent's gay or like had sex with his tech guy Steve or something. I'm not saying that happened, but you know, it's possible. I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying that.
They can't self-fertilize, though. They need to find a partner. Once the male barnacle sniffs out a receptive partner, it uses its long, stretchy penis to reach out and mate with her. Barnacle. You should see how alligators, slugs, honeybees, praying mantis, porcupines, ducks. We got a bunch of ducks here.
Oh boy, he's going to talk about duck penises.
You know, our welfare ducks, they come when I call them for the free corn. You know, twisted sex. Ducks. In mallard ducks, forced mating is common. The female's convoluted corkscrew vagina has numerous blind pockets and can prevent unwanted suitors. So, ha ha, you forced me to mate with you, but I'm not going to have your kids.
Ha ha, rape. Hovind. So did God design the corkscrew vagina and penis? Or what's up with that, Kent?
She decides which ones are going to fertilize her eggs. How did that evolve? 95% of her chicks are fathered by the one she prefers. Snails, kangaroos, jumping spiders, they eat their mate if they don't like the way he dances. How did that evolve? Chickens. After copulating with multiple mates, a female chicken can dump the unwanted male by ejecting his sperm from her body, go for the hunkier male in the coop, and choose the father of her future chicks. You know how dumb a chicken is? We got some that fly over the fence in the morning and spend all day running back and forth trying to get back in the fence, don't we?
Look for the guineas, yeah. The guineas.
The guineas. It's got to be the dumbest bird ever made.
Well, your God designed them, so why do you make them so stupid? And you be nice to those chickens, Kent. What'd they ever do to you?
And they came from a T-Rex. Yeah, okay.
Oh, they came from a T-Rex. That's just a complete misrepresentation of how evolution works, Kent. But, you know, I wouldn't expect anything different from you.
To see how bedbugs reproduce. Male and female bedbugs mate by what's called traumatic insemination.
I don't ever want to hear Kent Hovind'S say the phrase traumatic insemination ever again. Oh, traumatic insemination.
Traumatic insemination takes place basically stabbing the female's abdomen with a specialized hardened reproductive organ. After 3 or so days of feeding, the female begins to lay eggs. So they go up and they stab the female. How did that evolve?
I don't know. How was that created, Kent? How did it evolve? If evolution is about survival and reproduction, the insect just went and took it, and so it reproduced. It's really not complicated. As fucked up and gross as it is, it's not that hard to explain.
You should read about, you can read, I want to get on a different topic, but this is going to be.
No, all you ever want to talk about, Kent, is, whale penises, or, look how the duck has a corkscrew penis. Hovind, all you want to talk about is animal sex, Hovind. What's up with that? What's up with that?
As I was studying this, I said, man, this ought to be a whole video series. How could this evolve? Which evolved first, the male or the female of anything?
Animals evolve in populations. You don't have one animal who's a male evolve and then another animal who's a female evolve. That's not how this works.
And how did it survive without the other one? And what if the male evolved 500 years before the female? I missed it. Or 500 miles away? You atheists are incredible faith to believe all this happened by chance.
You don't automatically believe in evolution just because you're an atheist. There are lots of Christians and Catholics who accept evolution, and there are atheists who don't believe in evolution. There are atheists who don't know shit about science. I've seen some people who call themselves atheists say some stupid ass shit on Twitter and Facebook. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're rational, smart, or know anything about science. You still have to put in the legwork.
I admire your faith. Not your wisdom, not your intelligence, but I do admire your faith, okay? Solomon said, "Why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the woman of a stranger?" Why are you going to go to a prostitute or something, son? "For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord. He pondereth all his goings." God is watching everything you do and thinking about it. I saw that.
No, he didn't.
and he's keeping careful records, and you're going to be judged by it one day. God
Well, you were already judged, Kent, and you were found guilty.
saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, but Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. I don't care what the world thinks about Kent Hovind. I want God to say, that's my boy.
Yeah, clearly you don't care. You don't care what the judge thinks about you either.
I'm going to protect him. The best protection you can have in the coming time of tribulation
Is a condom.
which starts real soon.
When does it start? Because you said that it starts in fall 2021, and it's November 1st, Kent. So when does it start? Like, should I set a timer? Like, has it started yet? Like, when is it gonna happen? And what are you gonna say when it's like April of next year? You're gonna say, "Oh, it's coming. It's happening soon, real soon, real Hovind."
And we're going to be here for the whole thing. Best protection I know of is to be right smack in the middle of God's will. That's why I'm just going to keep serving God, winning souls. I want God to look down and say, that tree's producing fruit. I think I'll protect that tree.
Yeah, you're a real fruit, Kent.
Not going to save up a bunch of potatoes and stuff for, a rainy day. Going to win souls. Okay. Deuteronomy. A land which the Lord thy God careth for, the eyes of the Lord are always upon it. The eyes of the Lord, the eyes of the Lord. It's in the Bible a bunch of times. The eyes of the Lord. The eyes of the Lord, the eyes of the Lord, the eyes of the Lord. You can read about that all yourself. Just Google it if you have a Bible program, the eyes, 95 times. God's seeing everything. The eyes of the Lord preserve knowledge. Okay. His own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. Solomon's telling his boys, when someone does wickedly, they're building their own trap. They're making their own handcuffs. They're building their own pit. They're going to fall in it, son. Don't get into some bad habit that's going to end up costing you at the end of your life. I remember as a 12-year-old, a bunch of my buddies started smoking cigarettes, and I smoked a couple cigarettes with them. We thought we were cool, 12 years old. And then I thought, wait a minute. Do I want to put a butt in my mouth the rest of my life?
Yes, I do. I would love to do that. That's okay. That's okay.
No. This is going to be expensive. Is there any good that comes from this?
The smooth, rich flavor of being in Marlboro country?
I couldn't think of any. So why start? I picked up a guy hitchhiking one time. He said, do you mind if I smoke in your car? I said, yes, sir, I do, because after you're gone, the smell stays here for days. I said, how much did those things cost? He said, $1.75 a pack. That was a long time ago. I said, how many do you smoke a day? He said, 2.5 packs. So I got my calculator watch, $1.75 times 2.5. I said, you do this every day? He said, yeah, every day. I said, times every day. I said, how long have you been doing this? He said, 20 years. Times 20 years. I said, sir, you've spent $50,000 on smoke. You made your own cloud. You could have bought 2 brand new Corvettes, all kinds of Toyotas.
If the cigarettes are $1 something a pack, then that doesn't just mean he would have all of the money together to buy a brand new car. That's not how spending money on packs of cigarettes works. Like, he didn't just have all of the money in one lump sum, Kent. You idiot.
Rollerblades, skateboards. Nope, you decided to buy a cloud instead. And now you're here with your thumb out asking me for a ride because you couldn't get your cloud started, could you? I said, what made you start a habit like that? He said, well, I was 13 years old. I was with my friends. I said, stop right there. I know the rest of the story. I remember my dad came to me crying. He said, son.
Kent, you said that the only time you ever saw your dad crying was when he was teaching you how to drive and he yelled at you because you couldn't do the manual shifter. So I think you're lying.
I've been smoking for 40 years. Would you pray for me? I want to quit. I started in the Marines. I said, Dad, I certainly will, and I'd be honored to. And it was a joy to watch my dad finally quit. Anybody can quit. You all will eventually quit.
Okay, we have a £5 super chat from Alicia York. It says, keep up the good work. Thank you. I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
Everybody quits. Your iniquities will take yourself. How many have ever had some kind of bad habit that...
Oh, and the live chat now has over 70 concurrent viewers in it. Just wanted to point that out. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for the support. Thank you.
It ended up costing you, like just not changing oil in your car or slamming on the brakes, waiting for the last minute. You wear out your brakes. You can get some dumb habits in life, driving habits, eating habits that end up costing you a lot for a long time. His own iniquity shall take the wicked. He shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction in the greatness of his folly. He shall go astray. Addictive behaviors. You can get addicted to internet and games. Don't even start the addiction. Some people get all excited about chasing a little man around the board. Stop. You don't understand.
I told you, the only video game he knows is Pac-Man.
That's an addiction like drinking and smoking. It's going to come back and cost you. Don't even start. Like somebody told me today about the Braves is playing a game against the Cowboys or something. Yeah. I don't care. I couldn't name 5 teams. I'm not watching. I don't care. All them grown men fighting over that one ball this big. They can all afford to go buy their own.
Kent, you played tennis in high school. Hovind, sorry. You played tennis in high school, Kent, you hypocrite. Sorry, I forgot how to speak.
Just don't get addicted. Stop. Shut off the TV. Throw it away.
Yeah, just turn off your TV and just throw it away unless you're watching my videos. Hovind.
You can get addicted to food, to eating, to gambling, to sex, to love, to work, to shopping. There's all kinds of addictive behaviors. You can just Google that. Be cautious. You and God ought to get alone today sometime and say, Lord, would you talk to me? Do I have anything in my life that's not pleasing to you? Maybe it's sleep. You don't get anything done in your life because you got to sleep too much. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's alcohol. I don't know. Maybe it's gambling. I picked up a guy in a nice, fancy suit.
You pick up a lot of guys, Kent. What's up with that?
All dirty, filthy, torn, everything else. He was hitchhiking home to Ohio. I picked him up to give him a ride. I said, sir, you look like a businessman with a nice suit. Why are you hitchhiking? He said, I go out to Las Vegas every year about this time and gamble away $50,000. I save up all year. I go gamble away. It takes me about a week, and I lose $50,000, and I hitchhike back home.
That sounds like something that somebody would say.
He said, I go out there with a brand new Cadillac and a pocket full of money, and I gamble it away. Is anybody home? Don't start. Don't.
That's great advice. Just don't start drinking or doing drugs in the first place. It's easy for you to say, Kent, but there are people who have fetal alcohol syndrome because their mother drank while they were in the womb, and many of those people struggle with alcoholism. Same thing with drug addiction. And so to the people who think that addiction isn't a disease, in that example, it's passed on just like a mother would pass on a disease to her child. And this is even worse advice if you're suggesting somebody who's already an alcoholic just stop drinking cold turkey, because that can literally kill you. Because of the withdrawals, it can cause seizures or it can cause you to be hospitalized. Kent obviously doesn't understand addiction at all. He doesn't understand what chemical dependence is. And he has no empathy for people who struggle with it. And this is just a pet peeve of mine when people are judgmental of people who struggle with substance abuse issues. Because literally anybody can become an addict. And there are a lot of reasons why it can happen. Kent doesn't understand what chemical addiction is. So I'm just gonna read something from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. It says, dependence develops when the neurons adapt to the repeated drug exposure and only function normally in the presence of the drug. When the drug is withdrawn, several psychological reactions occur. These can be mild, like for caffeine, or even life-threatening, like alcohol. This is known as the withdrawal syndrome. So you can't just stop. It's obviously not that easy, or else people wouldn't have 4 DUIs and still be drinking. They wouldn't be using even though they don't want to, because of the painful physical symptoms it causes, not to mention the mental anguish. So you really are a mean-spirited, judgmental scumbag, Kent. You have zero qualification to talk about these things, not to mention the fact that Steve was just arrested for stealing a car while on a bunch of drugs, and you took him out of the drug rehab facility early, Kent. So shut the fuck up and go to jail, asshole.
Start. Duh. How many addictive behaviors are there? How many people just start with a little drink of alcohol to impress their friends? What's that going to end up costing you over a lifetime? Huh? The world's worst countries for drunk driving. United States is in third place. 31% of all the deaths from car accidents involve alcohol. Why would you put that in your mouth? Why did you start drinking that stuff?
Can't margaritas taste good?
Why? Think about it. Drunk driving fatalities. Just don't get it. Don't do it. I've been hit 9 times in my life. I've had 9 car accidents. None of them my fault. I get hit from behind, hit from the side.
Of course, none of them were your fault, Kent. Nothing is ever your fault.
Oftentimes, a drunk driver. What?
Okay, we have another $5 super chat from Bethany Lindbergh. It says, "Thanks for keeping an eye on Dr. Creep." Well, you're welcome.
What are you doing? If I do something wrong, I get speeding tickets once in a while. Okay, you're right. I'm guilty. Here you go. Here's your $100. I know how to admit when I'm wrong, and I try to always go at least the speed limit.
On camera and say,
What alcohol crashes cost? The total economic cost, $46 billion. The street price of a gram of heroin, United States, $300 for, you know how much a gram is? A small paperclip. The weight of a small paperclip is a gram, and a gram of heroin costs $300. Why is it you want to pay $300 for that?
I don't think anybody wants to, Kent. It's called a chemical addiction or chemical dependence.
Stacks of cash. The following are pimps' average weekly income. A pimp, weekly income, $32,000 in Atlanta, Georgia.
Kent, I thought you said that having passive income was a good thing.
How much is the price of prostitution around the world? Might be as low as 60 cents or as high as 1,600. One guy was going to get married. He said, "Preacher, what do you charge to marry me and my wife, my girlfriend?" He said, "Whatever you think she's worth." So he gave the preacher 50 cents. After the wedding, the preacher said, "You can pick up the veil and kiss the bride." So he pulls the veil up. Preacher took one look, gave him back a quarter. Never mind. Okay.
You can't say never mind after you tell the complete joke, Kent.
Global sex industry makes $186 billion per year. Even where it's illegal, begins to. Anyway, he said, "His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. He shall be holden with the cords of his sins."
We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. I know it's hard.
You might be building your own trap, tying yourself up. What a dumb thing to do. Solomon's giving advice to his kids. Now, he didn't follow his own advice. He shall die without instruction. In the greatness of his folly, he shall go astray. Bible says in Psalm chapter 9, the heathen are sunk down in the pit which they made, fell into their own trap. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. Wouldn't that be silly? Build your own trap and then fall in it. Isn't that what most addictions are? The righteousness of the upright shall deliver them. You want to be delivered from all these addictions? You need to get alone with God. Say, "God, would you help me? I need some help, Lord. Help me stop this." Maybe it's gossip. Maybe it's bitterness. Maybe somebody did something wrong to you and you got a whole bitterness in your heart. Come on. That can ruin your life. Transgressors shall be taken in their own naughtiness. Ecclesiastes, Solomon said, "I find more bitter than the death of the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her." There's certain people you just ought to get away from. I want to please God. God, send me the right people to be in my life. People come and go around here. You want to come here to work? Great. You want to leave? Okay.
Yeah, people come and go, but they don't come back.
God will send somebody. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself. He shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction. In the greatness of his folly, he shall go astray. Tombstone. Hold my beer and watch this. I told you I was sick. Loving father, occasional husband. Who would want that on their tombstone?
You?
Here lies one of the funniest men around. It's funny they let him live so long.
That's going to be my tombstone.
Anyway, his own iniquity shall take the wicked. He shall die without instruction. Proverbs chapter 5. Solomon gave great advice to his kids, inspired by God, and he didn't follow it himself. Shame. Any questions or comments here?
Okay, so that is, that's it. Oh, there we go. Atheist Junior, how about a segment about the joke in Kentucky pretending to be a museum? Yeah, I haven't ever done any videos about Ken Ham. I find Ken Ham to be very boring. But Erica, I feel like Erica did such a great video about the Creation Museum that anything I did would just be mediocre compared to that. But I'll think about it. Maybe not about Ken Ham, but maybe about some of the other presenters that that come on his show. But I don't know. Okay, so that's the video. And now I'm going to say thank you. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We're at, are we at 80 viewers? We're at 79 viewers. Hopefully we'll get to 80. Thank you to everybody who watched the video. Thank you to all the people who sent super chats. I lost count of how much it was. Sorry. Hovind. Hovind. And thank you to my patrons, David, Paul Camish, Danny, Regios, Bob Sadler, Dave Dalafiore, Pterodactyl Hunter, Martin A, Ian Chen, Jack, Stacy C, IS4321IS, JC Magruder, and then I just got a new patron yesterday. It's Irisark. IRISARC. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but thank you. So that's the video. And I've been putting out some new videos recently. Like I just put out a video I was working on for a while about Kent Hovind and the geologic column. And I made an announcement at the end of that video that I'm going to be attending Faithless Forum 2021 in Austin, Texas. This year I'm going to be there on November 21st on Saturday. I'm going to be there all day. And I'll be at the after party that night. And then I'll be leaving on Sunday. So come say hi. You know, I'll be catching as many of the speakers as I can. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Uh-oh. Oh, I did the thing. Okay. I gotta find the end stream button. There it is. Bye, guys. See you later.